We have to talk about this because it's not enough just to get your beautiful postcards. Where are you going to send them? My recommendation is that you get the names of at least 200 galleries, and I suggest the United States and Canada to start with. Don't worry about Europe yet, because you don't want to worry about Europe until you're generating enough income to take care of the shipping. All right, because it gets a little hefty sometimes. So, and the United States is the biggest possible market you could have. I mean, in a way, we're lucky, right? We got UPS all over. So now, but how are you going to acquire the names of these 200 galleries? One way you can do it is when your friends travel, you say, look for galleries that look like they might be right for my work. And then you get the names of those galleries, the addresses, also then maybe a notation of who's in the gallery. You're going to put that into a database in your computer. That's a mailing list. How many of you know how to use computers? Okay, for those of you who don't, if push comes to shove, you start out by putting them on 3x5 cards. And then you're going to have a service put them so that they can generate computer labels, because you cannot spend your time writing out 200 labels. It's too time consuming. Or filling out 200 cards. It's not a good use of your time. It's better to hire a service. Okay, so your friends can go, but that isn't going to get you very many. Another way to do it for yourself, which is very effective, is you pick out the art magazines which carry the kind of work that you like and what you're aiming for. American Ceramics, American Craft. What else do we have? Ceramics Art, huh? Studio Potter. I don't think they have too many gallery ads in there. You need magazines that have gallery ads in them. And what you do is you go through those magazines, get them for a couple years back, go to the library or if you have access to them. And what you do is you go through them and you look at every ad and you ask yourself, does this gallery's director's taste match my work? All right? So you're going through this, you're going through these magazines looking for ads, and then you write down the name of the gallery. That's a gallery you should hit. All right? Gee, this work is kind of like mine. It's in the same vein as my work. I'm going to pick out this work. There's another thing, but I want to tell you in a minute. I want to interrupt for a second. Interrupt myself. I'll hold this in my hand so I don't forget. Gallery directors, you have to have a very good match between your work and the gallery director's work. The first thing you need to know is that if a gallery director takes your work and is indifferent about it, their body language will talk about that indifference. And the thing is that your stuff is sitting on a pedestal in a gallery, and if the gallery director is walking around through the gallery with a client, their body language, they will be rejecting your piece with their body, and the work is not going to sell. And I have to tell you, this has happened to me, because I've had galleries that have taken my work because I'm well known, all right? And then I've called them on the phone to see if they received the work, and I could hear in their voice that they lacked enthusiasm about when they got the real thing, which is fair enough. Not everybody doesn't have to like, your work, big deal. And I thought to myself, I said, they don't really like the work. I said, I'll bet they don't sell anything. And that's happened to me in the past couple of years. It's happened with 2 different galleries where they felt they were indifferent about the work, and nothing sold from those galleries. When they get the work for the first time and they're really enthusiastic, it's always followed by sales, because they pass that enthusiasm on to their customers. There's something else you need to know about gallery directors. Gallery directors have very specific tastes as a rule. There's some who are real wishy-washy, but if possible, you don't want to deal with them. And what they do is they have a stable of collectors who have the same taste. And what you want to do is to be able to tap into that stable of collectors. So that's why you have to be matched correctly with the gallery director's taste, because that gallery director's stable of collectors has that same taste. The buyers are there for you, waiting for your work. All right, you don't want to be in the wrong gallery. Sometimes it's better you just wait, all right, until the time comes. Okay, another Let me go back now to getting the names of your 200 galleries. Another way to get the names of galleries is you pick up an August edition of Art in America. This is an older one. In the August edition of Art in America, they have a gallery and museum guide, and they list the names of artists in the back, and then they have the galleries by the state in the front. So let's say that you think your work is like Rudy Audio's work, all right? And you say, okay, I'm going to find out what galleries Rudy Audio is in, and I'm going to put his galleries on my mailing list. It doesn't have to be like Rudy Audio's work, it just has to have the same scent. All right, so what you do is you look up Rudy Audio's name in the back of this, you find his name, and next to it are some code numbers for the galleries he's in, and then you go to the front and you find the code numbers. All right, and then you add those names to your list. Now, I know that there's some galleries that I'm in with the same people over and over again. So I keep my eye out for where they are, right? And I'll send the card off to those galleries if I'm looking for another gallery. And you'll get a feel for this too also as you go along. Okay, so that's how you're going to start your database. And the nice part about that, your database meaning your mailing list, I also keep a little bit information, extra information about the gallery. I know who's in it if possible. I know who they're carrying. Also, if I've heard information about the gallery director, I'll also write that in there so I'm kind of alerted if they call me up. All right, now, where are you going to go from here? First thing is you've accumulated your gallery list. That's going to take you maybe 6 months. So you don't have to lay out any money for 6 months. All right, now what you do is you've collected some good work, and you've had some photographs taken, you've selected your image, you put together your postcard. There are good months and bad months for mailing your postcard. And if you read Guerrilla Marketing by J. Conrad Levinson, he outlines them exactly. He ranks them. But I'll tell you offhand which are the worst and which are the best, not the grades in between. August and December are the worst for obvious reasons. People are on vacation. In December, they're involved with Christmas. So they're not receptive. January and February are very good months to mail your postcards in because they're slow months in the galleries and they're kind of worried about what's happening with their business, and so they're receptive to new work. And for some other reason I'm not quite sure of, September, October, and November are good months. And the others fall somewhere in between. But January and February, and look at where we are this year. I mean, no, that's good. Now you got a little bit of time to get your ducks in a row. Okay. Now the thing is I'm the gallery director, and I get your postcard, and it's stuck in my mail, and I look at it. This is the good part, and I think, Jesus, what more shit? And I drop it in the can, the trash can. The nice part about it is you don't have to feel that. You don't have to suffer that personal humiliation. If they like it, they call you. They're reaching out towards you, and you don't have to be the poor schlepper with the folio. I mean, that's a terrible position to be in. And not only that is it's not effective, because you can't go to 200 galleries to find the 6 that are your galleries, the 6 galleries that are your galleries that fit you. All right, now, okay, but let's say, on the other hand, that you've sent your postcard and they like your work, but they're busy as hell. So what they do is they put it on, they read it, and in fact what it is your name is imprinted with the image in their head. And they put it on the desk and it gets lost. Well, that's not very good for you, you think. But the thing is once the gallery director has seen your name a certain number of times, it validates your work. They forget where they saw it. So all of a sudden you're not just an anonymous character who says, oh yeah, I've seen that name before. So what you need to do is another mailing. and I try to separate my mailings by at least 6 weeks. And by the way, I've acquired, of the galleries I'm in, 11 of them I've acquired by this direct mailing system. But you have to realize I'm very strategic. I watch the months. I make sure I got real hot images. Boy, and my rhythm's fine. I never call them. Never. They have to call me first. So I never deal with the rejection. Now, so what you're going to do is you're going to do probably, you have to realize it's going to cost you at about, and this is the hard part, but you know it costs money to make money. It's going to cost you about $500 per mailing, all right, for that first contact. So if you're going to do 3 mailings in a year, you've got $1,500 locked up in promoting yourself. Yes? Yes. Oh, yes, a different image. Whew. A different image each time. Okay, so it's going to cost you money to do this. So you have to be sure that you're really producing work, and it has to be a recognizable, something recognizable that they can see. If you change your work, your style of your work, from one postcard to the other, they aren't going to have an image of who you are. They have to be able to see that essence of whatever is you. My husband calls it your market differentiator. I said, that's a little cold, dear. And he said, well. So they have to know. Now, when I look at Schradel's work, I recognize this. She can put her paintings of, or florals or whatever on any kind of vessel whatsoever, and I will recognize it because that painting technique, that style is her trademark, so I know it. That's just like I can put all different dogs on the things, but the dog is kind of my trademark. That's that particular style dog. Okay, let me not get lost. Okay, so what you're going to do is over a period of a year, and you really, I want you to think in terms of doing this, not this year or even necessarily next year, because you really have to be organized for this or it doesn't pay. Also, if you send out your second postcard mailing in a good month with a hot image and you haven't gotten a response yet, you may have to rethink what you're doing, because it could be, and you have to have that that collection of 200 galleries, it could be that you're just missing, that you're not connecting with somebody. So you have to think about, well, is it that your imagery is not connecting? Now, if your work has been selling regularly, at fairs and so forth, then you should have some sort of response. But if you don't, you may have to think over what you're doing and backtrack and rethink your whole strategy, what you're doing in terms of your art form, as well as your strategy, your promotional strategy. And even if it's cost you $1,000 to find out that you're on the wrong track, it's better than going through your whole life saying, oh, maybe this is going to happen next year, and maybe this is going to something's going to have to change for it to work. Yes?
Before you do that, how many dogs would you have?
I don't worry about that. No, but I know that, see, my work is very consistent. I have a consistent production. So that I know that if a gallery calls me up, I know when I can supply them work and at what stage. Let's get to that point. A gallery calls you and they say, what are you going to talk, what do you say to them the first thing? The first thing you've got to tell them is that what the real price range is of your work and what the stuff has really been selling at. Now, when a gallery calls me and they ask me that, they say, well, what's your price range? I say, my price range is between this amount and this amount. And this is the median at which it sells at the most. However, the galleries that are in the urban areas, even though they're top-line galleries, this happens to be the truth, even though they're top-name galleries, and you would think that they would do very well, are the worst. The best-selling galleries are in the resort areas. And this is important. The gallery wants to know this, and they want to know the real price of what they've been selling for, not what you think they should sell for. If you're just entering in the market, you can say, well, I have been selling my work, let's say, between $100 and $300 a piece. All right, you're talking about whatever it is you're making now. And you say, and they've been selling very quickly. I can't keep them in, and I'm not sure what the price range is. If you, Okay, then you're going to talk about sending them work later, but not yet. When they first call you, you tell them the price range, and you say, I'll send you a folio showing you more work. All right, you're not doing business with them yet. They aren't inviting you in yet. They want to be sure before they commit to you. So you're going to send them a folio showing them more work. And also, again, your slides are going to be tucked in the back of the folio. Another thing that's going to be tucked in the back of the folio is your resume. Now, here's the big surprise, everybody. Galleries don't sell resumes. They sell artwork. So they're not really interested in that. What they have to do is they have to emotionally connect with your work. And it does not matter what you say on your resume, that if it doesn't emotionally connect for them, it's not going to happen. Now, when I first started doing this, let's see if I got something here. Oh, there's one. Okay. When I first started doing this, my funds were limited. So what I did is I got one of these Atoya folders, put my name in here. See, I want them to see my name every time, every chance I get, I hit them with my name. All right, because I want them to remember who I am. All right, and again, I hit them with my name. And you need to do this too. You can do this on a laser printer now. When I first did this, I had to go out and buy those things where you rub the letters on. Oh, Lord. Okay, and these are laser prints. Now, for me, the form is the critical thing for my work. All right, the form of the dogs is critical. The laser prints don't really show the surfaces. So if your pièce de résistance is an elegant premier glaze, you don't want to do this because it's not good. But if its form is the issue, who is it who does the dogs? It's not you. It's was it Daphne? Yeah, Daphne. Daphne showed me one small piece, and I think that she might be able to get away with this.
Yeah, I can.
All right, because the form will sell the piece, and then the glaze they can see afterwards. But if you're selling vessels, if it's vessels that you have with those nice surfaces, this is not good. So anyway, what I did is I sent out these. I tucked in a resume in the back, and I tucked in some slides. But the truth is after they see this, they don't need. Whoops! See that baby dog? After they see this, they don't need to see the slides.
Hey, dog on feet, too.
Hmm?
Standing dog.
Standing dog. Oh my God, the last of the great standing dogs.
Did he keep all his legs?
Huh?
Did he keep all his legs?
Yes, he did, but he was very well taken care of. Okay, so the gallery calls you and you say, this is the price range, I'll send you out a folio. You have that folio ready, and that folio's got to be professional. It's got to be clean. They want to know they're dealing with a business person because they're business people, and they don't want to mess around with any kid stuff. All right, that should be real obvious. But then you do something too. You ask if they would send you some old invitations from some of their shows and maybe some photographs of their gallery if they have it. Because you want to know also what their gallery is like. This is extremely important, for me at this point in the game, because galleries call me now and again and they say, and I say, well, send me some pictures of your gallery. What I'm doing is, they're interviewing me, but I'm interviewing them. Because there'll come a point where you don't want to be in every gallery that comes down the road and wants your stuff. Where am I?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If, how do you know if they're really reputable? Like if they say, yes, send us your stuff, and they space you out, or they store it in the back room, or how long do you leave it there with them before you want it back?
Okay.
Or they quote-unquote break it.
Oh, well, that's you're stuck with the breakage.
I mean, no, they don't. If they're not reputable, they might quote-unquote break it and hug it.
The way to tell you what my experience is that with all the galleries I've dealt with, there's been only one gallery that hasn't paid me. And we're talking about a lot of galleries. I mean, because I'm in about 18 galleries right now. There's been only one gallery that has not paid me. And I knew this guy. He was a gallery director in Sacramento, and he was a sweetheart. And he was the world's worst businessman. And what he was doing is he really wanted to keep the gallery open. It was a wonderful gallery, splendid. but he was using, as he'd sell the pieces, he'd be using the artist's money to pay the rent.
Right.
All right, but I've only experienced that once. And in fact, he paid me in sculpture stands, what he owed me. I said, okay, you can't pay me this money, why don't you give me some sculpture stands? I mean, he was going out of business anyway, right? He didn't need them. So, and it worked out I got something
Yeah.
from him. I mean, other people got a little more damaged than I did, but I was watching him very closely also. Now, the gallery calls you, they receive your folio, and they decide they want your work. What you do is you say, what I'd like to do is start out with sending you 3 pieces, only 3 pieces. This way, if it is a flaky gallery, you haven't lost that much. Let's see if the work sells in your gallery. Let's see if we have a good fit. This is you talking. So you send them 3 pieces, and you say, look, we'll check, and in 3 months, if there's been no response, you'll know, and then you can send them back to me. And then you put it on your calendar after you verified that the shipment has arrived in good condition, because I do call them after I ship it. Then you call them in about 3 months, and you ask them if they've had any interest in the work. And if they said no, none whatsoever, you ask them to send it back. And if they said, well, we've had a little, and you say, well, how do you feel about this? Would you like to keep it for a little bit longer, another couple months, or would you like to send it back? And they'll tell you. And then you wait 2 months, and if nothing's sold, and if you're nervous about it, ask for it back. Okay, the worst possible scenario is you're going to lose 3 pieces. Let's say that something that does sell. And you ask for it back, and they say, well, something has sold, then they'll pay you. But then you watch and see how fast they pay. Now, there's something that I do with even the very best galleries I'm in. All the gallery directors I work with have integrity. None of them is out to stiff me for the price of a dog, by any means. But some of them are real sloppy business people. So I done them. I say, hey, how about a check for that dog? I got bronzes coming out. I need some money. And so I keep after them. I don't let it slide. I don't let it eat my heart out for month on end. A lot of artists do this. You know, the gallery owes them money, and they say that and what they're doing is they're waiting for the gallery owner to be merciful and wonderful and to think about them. But what you have to do is you have to call them, and you say, oh, you sold that piece. What is your payment schedule? Is that 30 days? Oh, so I'll have that by April 10th, right? You're going to make the payment by April 10th. And boy, and then I watch. And if the check's not there, I call them again. Now, I have to tell you, I used to work for the Small Business Administration collecting on disaster loans. And so for me, this is real easy. But you have to learn how to do it. Otherwise, you're always the victim. But it's your money, and you can ask for it, and it's not the last gallery on earth. Yeah.
Isn't that something you should know ahead of time, though?
About what?
When you're shipping things out, their payment
Oh, yeah.
schedule?
Yeah, and you should ask them what their payment schedule is, or just ask them if they're going to send you a little contract, what their payment schedule is.
Do you have a contract that you send them?
When I work with, all that I do is this. I send them a price list, and what I do is I give them a recommended retail and a minimum retail. And I tell them they cannot sell below that minimum retail, because what that does is that even if they pay me my full 50%, it constitutes dumping, and it's unfair to my other galleries. So I send them that, and then I write a very important little paragraph on this pricing sheet, because they have to sign it and send back a copy. It says, the work belongs to the artist until the artist is paid. This means that if the gallery director or the gallery owner die, or if the building is repossessed or something like this, or they're closed up, I can say, this is my work, and no, I haven't been paid. And they have to prove that I've been paid, otherwise it's my work. And I have this signed document. And that's the only thing that I put on the, I put in the recommended retail, the minimum, and that the work belongs to the artist until the artist is paid, and also what my percentage is. Yes?
I've never seen, do you sign one?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you sign? On the
On the
tab?
ass. I'm running out of gas, but I'll go as far as I can. This is an example also. This is the magazine I was on the cover of. These are, I really like these folders. These are clear, peachy folders. These are a really wonderful way to send out your material. When they call you and they ask for material, you should try to get something like this. And I got this from a company called Papers Direct. This is their little folder. I'll give you their 800 number. They'll send you a whole bunch of stuff free, including their folder. Then you can order these clear folders. They got little pockets in them. All right, I stick all kinds of nice pictures in there so they have to see it when they open it. Also, when I send the folio, I put on the outside of the envelope, this is being sent to you on your request, so that they don't mix it up with the other stuff that's coming in that has the slides in it. This is something they've asked for. They should know. Written large on the envelope, this is material you have requested. Please open. Or please open right away. Papers Direct, their number is 1-800, A is in Apple, Papers. Papers. You know something, you guys? My voice is gone.
I wonder why.
Oh, yeah, it's gone. Why don't I just take questions now, because I'm a little finished. Oh, any questions?
On the, say you're sending out the first series of postcards.
Yeah.
And you are one gallery. Like you have three galleries. What would you write on it?
Oh, what do I write on the back of the postcard? Oh, yes. That's a very important question. At this stage in the game, I knew I wasn't going to remember everything. On the back of the postcard, you don't want to write it by hand. You're either going to have to put it on a sticky label or run it through a laser printer. You can write, if you're interested in this artist, please contact. And then you write your name and your address, your telephone number, and if you have it, your fax number. And that's all for the first thing. And then if they're interested, they'll call you. Another nice thing is that if they get it in the mail, they see the picture first. All right, they see the picture first, and if they like it, they say, oh, I wonder what exhibition, I wonder what gallery has this artist. And then they turn it over and they say, if you're interested in this artist, you mean I can get this artist? I mean, and I know it happens. You know, it'll happen to you too, because when they first see it. Then what happens, when I have my postcards printed up, I have 1,000 printed at a time. And so I use the first 200 for a mailing, but when I have them printed, I have them printed blank on the back. And then I have the first 200 are for the mailing to the galleries, and it says if you're interested. But then after that, I can use them for anything. One of the things that I do here is I've listed all of my, all the galleries that I had at the time this card was made. They've changed a little bit since then. So I've listed all the galleries that I had at the time, and I had a mailing list of my collectors. And this was a new piece. So in order to just tickle them, I sent them this card just with their address, but they had to call back their gallery, not me, because I don't deal out of my house at all. Yeah. And there's a reason for not dealing out of your house. As your career develops, you want the gallery to buy advertising for you to advertise your work. It is, incidentally, it's not the write-ups in the magazines or in the local newspapers that makes a difference. It's the advertisements that hit the bigger magazines. So what you want to do is, if you're going to negotiate for advertising with your gallery, then they've got to trust you. And if they advertise and then they find out that you're selling artwork out of your house, you've in fact stolen their commission. So what you want to do is you want to build up the trust. And here's what I do with my galleries. First thing is I want the name of the customers. But I tell them, but first they have to know is that I never sell out of my house. You can ask Bob and Kathleen.
Hey, we tried to talk her down.
I wouldn't even talk money with him. The gallery sent Bob and Kathleen to my house. And I said, I don't deal with money. I said, if you're interested in a piece, you talk with the gallery. And the gallery makes the collection. I mean, I could have made all kinds of side deals with them, but the gallery knows I won't do this. And I've had people call me up and when they're interested in a piece that I have, and maybe this piece